My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
If I speak for myself,
What I'm showing you is going on over here at Huntington Oaks Center. It's called Crossing a Path and Light Activity Creation. Demons are stalking in the parking lot with methods of light activity while they're engaged in federal stalking. This is demons who know that I'm documenting on my camera right now. This is stalking, open surveillance in an engineered environment where amplified audible activity is occurring inside of my hotel room. And these are demons who are stalking, maintaining relevant position, that is manning the path while state surveillance is underway. This is stalking using a vehicle. And the Huntington Oaks Center, which is closed, it opens at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's why you have traffic as I'm capturing images of it on the screen recording, driving in and out of the driveway. They're crossing path, and you already know that. I captured video of the same exact demon-possessed population under that, which is not the sun. It's the light source that's over my head while I'm at this same intersection where the Panera Bread, not the Panera Bread is inside of here, but the Panda Express after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is the same window where at 7 in the morning, you're seeing the fake sun. And I've captured that. So let's just recall that together. At 7:49 in the morning, this is the location where you have seen the fake sun over me in the morning. This is the specific environment. I believe it was this morning I captured it. Captured it on more than one occasion. Here it is, 7:50 in the morning, 7:50 a.m. This is the window that I'm looking out of right now at 12:35 in the morning on Sunday, August 18, 2024. This is the fake sun that's right outside of my hotel window. And I'm facing this intersection of Panda Express. This is the same intersection where you were seeing in the afternoon. The fake sun is still over me at that same intersection. It's literally in the same position also while I am physically outside of the hotel room in the parking lot in the physical position where I'm aiming my camera at that driveway where the people of the state are engaged in ongoing demonic pacing on the 210 freeway. And it's heard inside of my hotel room. This is a population that's engaging in surveillance, and it's also a population that is demon possessed. This is what I'm capturing at 7:21 in the morning. I'm looking outside of the same window that you're looking at now in this screen recording, and I'm capturing podcasts at the same time. Again, in order to get the full value of what I'm capturing right now, the audio does not contain the visual, and I believe the visual is only captured with no audio because I'm doing a screen recording with the podcast at the same time. So there's no audio with the screen recording. So what you're looking at right now is the screenshot that juxtaposes the same window that I'm looking at right now at nightfall. And you're looking at the fake sun. As you're outside of this window, you're looking at demons stalking in the parking lot at Huntington Oaks. This is a shopping center that's closed. At 12:35 in the morning, you're parked in that parking lot. You're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking. That's what they're doing. And they're also doing it because not only am I pointing out the time frame while they're just driving into a vacant, closed down shopping center, the reason why they are doing that is because they're engaged in what is manning the path. Those are demons, first of all, and those are stalkers. That's a population that's engaging in the concerted effort to stalk together, to maintain presence, to maintain the elements of monitoring. That's light activity, moving all around in that engineered environment, which is ongoing at nightfall. Okay. And this is the same, position that you're seeing demons at 12:35 in the morning, driving in and out of the driveway, which is crossing path with me, where you're seeing the fake sun at 7:21 in the morning and the fake sun at that same driveway at 5 o'clock in the evening. That's how you are aware of what it is that you're looking at while vehicles are driving in and out of this driveway of the closed down Huntington Oaks shopping center, which is what you're seeing now, crossing path, in addition to what is occurring in the sky space. And the entity is indeed stalking in the sky space in planes that are maintaining presence while the entity maintains the audible activity. What City of Monrovia is doing is the exact same thing. They are, however, I want to be clear, they're going to be prosecuted as intensely as Dominic Choi and the LAPD. Okay. What they are doing, which is what LAPD should have done, is should have exhibited some self-control. Those demons have clearly been murdering and kidnapping people for years and getting away with it. That's why you had that heavily documented helicopter activity that the LAPD did on video. And I have thousands of videos of them stalking in helicopter. And while an American citizen captured it on video, the LAPD continued to show the world how federal group stalking and monitoring occurs in the United States, how state surveillance by a demon-possessed population, how Satan's system of surveillance occurs, and it looks just like that. That's called crossing path. And it's something that you can't hear. Demonic pacing. Okay, this is where the fake sun at 7:21 to 5 p.m. That's a demon at nightfall, light activity, crossing path, the same exact elements of monitoring at nightfall. And they're doing so while the demons know exactly what I'm doing. They're also sex offenders whose audible activity of driving a car is impossible to hear inside of my hotel room. You see how far that freeway is? You can't hear any vehicle. You can't hear any truck. The audible activity inside of my hotel room is such that I can hear their tires on the roadway. In addition to the acceleration, in addition to the volume that changes based on what it is that I'm uploading onto the internet. These are demons. And this is the prosecution of the entire state of California as well. The freeway represents the entire state. The ability for the demon-possessed population, the entire state of California is represented, while a freeway is a means of crossing path and audible activity and light activity. And it is also going to equal the federal prosecution, criminal and civil, of Courtyard by Marriott, where the fake sun remains over me inside of this hotel all day long, while impossible light, such as the shadow of the staircase, excuse me, let me zoom out, the shadow of this staircase, which you can see in the shade, impossible light, while a demon is stalking on the street, crossing path. And let me be clear, the timing that that demon drives by on the street is known. They know exactly when I turn in this direction and a demon is speeding by on this street. They're engaging in a crime committed by a population. The entire population is going to be prosecuted for it. And the entire population is going to be prosecuted for impunity. This is impossible light activity, the shadow of the this stairwell. And it's appearing on the wall, and it's also got multiple shadows. You could see that's impossible light activity, and the shadow of what is it's underneath a covered structure. There's no light here. There's what is going to create that, and it's supposed to be contrasted with what is light here at the outside, but you're looking at the impossible light activity. You're paying attention to this. Those are demons that are stalking. That's the population stalking, and it's also aware. You're also aware of what is stalking when the literal volume, the sound of this traffic is heard. That's an impossible. That's the picture of amplification. You saw the same thing in the hundreds and hundreds of videos of the LAPD stalking a helicopter, where they are nowhere seen. They're at a great distance, even flying in a circle, showing their demon possession. The people of the state are also engaging in demonic pacing. They're showing you their demon possession. This is demonic pacing and not traffic. So you're training your eye to recognize what the demons are doing, and you know that they're doing it in a demonic environment. So what is it that you're looking at? You're looking at this pacing, and you're not looking at one individual after another driving by. You're actually looking at the demons together pacing in the same way that you look at one helicopter flying in a circle over and over. That's demonic. That's amplified audible activity, and that's supposed to be occurring from, because you don't see any motorcycle over there, that's supposed to be heard from what is Huntington on the opposite side of this building. That's demonic. That is the admission, though, that the population is stalking on Huntington, keeping me under surveillance, demons who are stalking, and they're helping with the demons that are in hotel rooms, including room number 510, room number 511, room number 513, room number 514, room number 612, room number 611, room number 614, room number 412, room number 411, room number 414, room number 413, room number 410, who represent the demons who are maintaining physical presence while you see engineered light, and you hear amplified audible activity, which is impossible to hear, in the same way that you see impossible light activity, the shadow of the gate that's appearing flat adjacent on the wall next to the gate in the shade, okay, while the entity is, hold on, that is capturing light activity, relevant positioning, while you're looking at impossible light activity, and that's how you know that's nothing but a stalker. That's also speaking to impunity. Driving through the parking lot, driving off of Huntington, driving through the parking lot, and then crossing path to get back on the street. All they're doing is crossing path. These are demons who are crawling all over the place, monitoring, and they're doing so in the remarkable environment, the specific environment where here at 7:20 in the morning, and at the same parking lot where this is Panda Express right here, and at 5 o'clock in the evening, this is the same parking lot area, and the fake sun is over me at 5 p.m. Those are demons that are maintaining presence on the freeway, and their audible activity of driving a vehicle is impossible to hear inside of this hotel room. It is maintaining the elements of monitoring while demons are stalking in the sky space. This is P.O.C. And the city of Monrovia represents the state of California in the same way that the city of Ontario, the city of Fontana, the city of Arcadia, the city of San Bernardino, the city of Glendale, the city of Las Vegas, as I go to across state lines, and what is never going to be the case since I've captured the scientific impossibility of the object itself, purportedly the sun, but it's impossible to be the sun, which is the point of the P.O.C, so that I can provide a visual for you to recognize what I'm referring to, a specific environment where you are looking at the scientific impossibility. It's impossible that the sun is remaining over my location from the beginning to the end of the day. However, I'm capturing that phenomenon. And while it's occurring amongst a population who is of a very specific condition, engaging in very specific activity, which is criminal and it's demonic. It's very malicious. That's what's relevant to what is driving in and out of this Huntington Oaks Center. Even where the demon would provide evidence, a paper trail, by going to a drive-up ATM if they have any inside of the Huntington Oaks Center. But this entire plaza is shut down. They're parking in the parking lot, as I captured. They're driving in and out of the plaza. They're driving up and down this street. They're driving on Huntington, which is impossible to hear. That was a motorcycle amplified in volume. That's the admission of stalkers on Huntington, surrounding, in other words. And that's the admission of stalkers on the 210 freeway, the population. Okay, driving into the freeway, driving into the hotel, that's the same criminal system. And that's what, speaking to, again, the employees of Courtyard by Marriott, the entity that's obsessively stalking, acting with impunity, listening to the facts as I point out the common sense aspects of their criminal system. They continuously engage in the elements of monitoring, showing that ongoing obsession. That's why the employees are going to federal prison. Understand how every aspect of the criminal system and the ongoing determination to continue to engage in state surveillance, which is conspiring to murder and kidnap someone, you're going to federal prison for that. The impunity of a demon that represents the whole entity. They all have the same mindset. They're all engaged in the same objective. There is no individualization amongst the demon possessed. You're aware of their condition because of the demonic environment. It is impossible that the sun would rise and set over me at an apartment complex in LA. It is now impossible, as you see me depart from that location, never being there at any point of the day, the same exact phenomenon remaining even in a different city, different location, different building, and now it's at Courtyard by Marriott. Where I also included driving across state lines. That was crossing a path, a demon that wants me to stop talking about what I'm talking about, by the way. It is impossible while you witness that. That's speaking to the condition of all of those in the state of California because of the level of evidence, the level of scientific value regarding what is impossible to be and what is speaking to the absence of any exception regarding this system while impunity is captured, driving on the streets, on the roads, and the highways in the specific environment that is the state of California. The facilitating venue, this is criminal activity happening on the roads and the highways in the state, and it's openly engaging in criminal activity. So when I'm showing you images of open engagement in surveillance, such as being in the hallway, you're in engineered light. You're stalking, doing so, driving in and out of the Huntington Oaks Shopping Center. It's 1247. This high level of presence inside of this closed down shopping center at 1247, it's owed to me. And you know that because the fake sun is over this venue 7:20 to after 5 p.m. at the same exact location, they're not doing anything but stalking. And not only that, these are the same demons where you're seeing engineer light ricocheting off of their cars while they're just driving in and out at this intersection right here. They're stalking at 1247 in the morning. Excuse me, what time is it? Yeah, 1247 in the morning. They're also stalking, aware of what I'm doing, obsessively engaging in this conduct, the elements of monitoring. You're monitoring someone while you're moving around in the engineered environment, and amplified audible activity, elements of monitoring, light activity, relevant positioning, because that's what this is, the freeway. It's presence, it's light activity, and it's also audible activity, amplified in volume. And they're acting in sync with the city of Monrovia, the state of California, stalking in planes and helicopters. Not as foolish as Dominic Choi. Not as foolish as the demons of the terrorist organization, the LAPD. Nonetheless, they are foolish because they're still engaging in the criminal system. But the entity is engaging in what is impunity. That's relevant for how long the people of the state and the state. You will be going to federal prison. I'm documenting the exact same pattern of conduct. And you know that they're demons because of the impossible light activity. You know that they're demons because of the audible activity. So I want you to pay attention. That's the significance of what I captured on podcast. Audibly, and this conduct of what you can see outside of the window is something that you will not hear inside of the hotel. The reason why I'm going over here because this is a vent. That's amplified audible activity. So this is speaking to, again, the the impossible occurrence that you're hearing, it's competing with the television. It coexists with the vibration of my bed inside of my room. It coexists with the demons inside of the hotel who are pacing and amplifying audible activity both above and below my room and in the hallway on the 5th floor while they are together monitoring. The people of the state group stalking on the freeway, they're helping the demons that are stalking in the hotel. They're helping the demons that are stalking in the sky space. This is massive surveillance and it's demonic. Courtyard by Marriott is going to compensate for the terrorism that they are facilitating and that they are engaging in. They represent the people. All of the businesses in the state of California, every business that is in operation in the state of California is a domestic terrorist. They are engaged in federal stalking. That's what the state of California is practicing. As I have been subject to it, you're talking about the basis of civil recovery and a criminal prosecution. And both of those, speaking to the prosecution and exposure of such businesses in the state of California for domestic terrorism and for sexual violence, all right? And for also federal stalking. This is called crossing path and light activity, and my voice is the audible activity. And it's also something that's impossible to hear. The tires driving on the street is something that you're not going to hear coming through this vent. Okay? The entity is engaging in conduct as though I'm standing on the freeway and can hear the vehicles driving like I'm standing outside, just like at Town Place Suites by Marriott at Huntington and Monrovia. The audible activity is as though my mattress is on the intersection right there and I'm sleeping right there amongst the demons on the outside in the street. And that's not the case. It's the audible activity of demons who give evidence of the fact that they're stalking you. And that's based on the impossible audible level of their activity. In the same way, it is as impossible seeing the shadow reach even into the room. I want you to see this is the inside of the room. Let me zoom out so you can see. This is called impossible light activity. This is outside. The shadow, it's in the shade. This is darkness. There's no sunlight and there's no light, okay? But you have the shadow of this banister appearing on the wall, and it's also reaching into my room. Okay, that's impossible light activity. The entity is stalking in planes and helicopters, and these are demons who are stalking in the sky space, keeping me under surveillance. Dominic Choi and the demon-possessed fire chief of the Monrovia Fire Department, the demons who are maintaining relevant positioning, stalking in the path. This is a population that's engaging in a concerted effort to keep an American citizen, a woman, a sex offender, engages in such conduct, while they are also aware of the fact the moment when your genitalia is exposed, what it is that you're doing on the venue of the internet, how much money is inside of your bank account, because this is what's happening while the demons are inside of the rooms. 612, audible activity, that is amplified audible activity while I'm looking at my bank account on chase.com. You also know that Chase is a corrupt business, going to be prosecuted for surveillance, going to be prosecuted for federal stalking, going to be prosecuted as a sex offender while I'm inside of the Chase Bank. And you've already seen the impossible light activity inside of the Chase Banks, not only the one at 1600 Vermont, crossing path on this same side street outside of Courtyard by Marriott right now, but you've also seen it inside of the Chase Bank here in Duarte, California, down the street off of Huntington. Impossible light activity. None of this is coexisting. It does coexist with the light source that's over the building, and impossible light activity is inside of the building. But it is out of conformity with what the state of California would like to contend, that it's a natural environment, that some target individual is a paranoid schizophrenic, and that the sun is at any time of year ever going to remain over a physical building for 12 plus hours in the day, which while it's doing that at Alvarado Gardens, which is sitting on the record, and that is after being documented remaining over the Ovid Family Community Library from as early as 8 o'clock in the morning until 6:40 in the evening. There is no point ever that the natural environment will consist of the sun being over 1600 Vermont, Chase Bank, where I'm capturing, again, sexual violence. My person is being molested with impossible light activity that you see inside of this hotel room at 12 in the morning. Impossible light activity, which is what you just captured right now, what I just captured, I want to capture it on podcast. What I just captured right now on the screen recording is the Monrovia Police Department speaking to the prosecution of Alan San Victoris in the same way that Dominic Choi. These are terrorist leaders. These are sex offenders, keeping women, single women, under surveillance, aware of what they are doing in the private space while they're physically nude, genitalia exposed, engaging in any personal private activity, including any sexual contact that you have with the entity outside of your knowledge. And they're stalking in helicopters, keeping you under surveillance. That's why you have a pattern pattern of conduct underway by departments. All right, so I want to be clear, the terrorist leaders over said corrupt departments, such as the Los Angeles Police Department and the MONROVIA Police Department, who you just saw right now flying directly over me. That's relevant positioning in the specific environment where the fake sun is remaining as a matter of documentation at the same location. 7:20 in the morning, right over my head inside of my hotel, right here in this same parking lot at 5 o'clock in the evening, the fake sun is over me at the same location. That is speaking to the demon possession of a corrupt law enforcement agency, stalking in a helicopter with a green blinking light, flying directly over my head, doing so on video, the same foolishness that Dominic Choi provided for his own prosecution. And Dominic Choi is being prosecuted while demons affiliated with the LAPD are stalking in helicopters. Let me be clear, it is very specific who is going to be prosecuted, who's going to be held accountable. And Dominic Choi is going to produce the names of those stalkers who are in the helicopters because they're going to federal prison. All right. Alan San Victoris has lost his job as well. By my arrival in Monrovia, California, you're going to be prosecuted because you're engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct. This is why they were stalking in helicopters when I drove back from Las Vegas on the freeway. This is why City of Pasadena flew over my head in a helicopter, because the entity knows where I go, people end up going to federal prison because they're still engaged in the state's pattern of conduct. Capturing that helicopter activity is a threat to your life. It's an admission to sexual violence. They're group stalking with the demons who are driving up and down this street. They're group stalking with the demons who are crossing path on the freeway. They're group stalking with the demons who are stalking under the malicious guise of being employees at Courtyard by Marriott, while I can hear the highly disruptive and terrorizing and harassing audible activity of traffic on the 210 freeway, which, by the way, this thick glass is speaking to what is impossible to hear. It is also speaking to what's impossible to be the case, the light activities spanning into the hotel room on the wall, while this is not the staircase, but the banister along the patio. How do you even have the trajectory of that light activity? And it's occurring in the shade. It's distinct from the light. That's the P.O.C, where helicopters are flying over me, where amplified audible activity of an impossible nature. And the entity is engaging in that which is competing with the television. All right. It's audible activity, light activity, relevant positioning. And all the demons that are group stalking inside of this hotel room, you're talking about what's physically surrounding the demons inside of room 514, the demons inside of room 510, the demons inside of room 513, immediately surrounding me, the demons inside of 511, that are engaging in ongoing surveillance, monitoring everything that I'm doing on my computer, monitoring everything that I am doing while I am on my phone, okay, on looking at my bank accounts, whatever it is that I'm capturing, which includes, again, these are all of the people of the state who physically surround, and they are checking in and out. They're engaging in what is the direct provision to the feds regarding their federal prosecution, and the entity engaging in using minor children, group stalking with those who are stalking in the hallways, like the housekeepers who are going in and out of the rooms, group stalking and doing so in the same exact demonic environment. The entity is doing so with real indeed being documented, acting with the same state that's stalking in a helicopter. That's what a population is doing. While the impossible occurrence of hearing anything from the 210 freeway, let me be clear. That's the sound of me touching this very thick pane glass, double pane thick glass, which you cannot hear any 210 freeway. And it also can't be heard through what's the vent is no normalization of the audible activity. The vents are not in the room such that you're building a hotel structure, a building, charging people hundreds of dollars, advertising regarding how luxurious and how worthy your hotels are to stay at and relax at and remain at wherever it is that you're flying in the world, traveling to and staying in the world. And you can hear the traffic outside of your hotel room. That's not even anything that Marriott Bonvoy is going to advertise, because that's not how it's built. Marriott Bonvoy, is first of all owned by the demon possessed. That's why their businesses in the state of Nevada and in the state of California. As I've been to the Sherman Oaks, as I've been to the Town Place Suites by Marriott, as I've been to the Courtyard by Marriott, and now this is Monrovia, also in Sherman Oaks, and including Las Vegas. So those are all three. As I go even amongst state lines, across state lines, you have what is an impossible pattern of conduct, showing you the fake sun, showing you the stalking in helicopters under that fake sun, and what is always characteristic, the impossible light activity, and also the amplified audible activity. Let me be clear, the roads and the highways, the freeways, this is evidence of a population engaging in the pattern of conduct. So while the demons, again, everything that the malice of the highly unintelligent, the non-elite, okay, engage in this criminal system. What they thought was going to be, oh, we can get away with it. No, the target individual is never going to know. The feds are never going to know my name because I'm on the freeway and they're stalking in the hotel room. So I'm going to terrorize with audible activity, and who's going to know what's going on? Let me be clear. It's evidence against the whole population. That's what the entity is providing. They clearly engage in stalking by just driving by on the street, driving by on the freeway. An entire population is going to be prosecuted for that. That's what that represents. The freeways and the roads and the highways represents the population engaged in the pattern of conduct. The entity engaged in state surveillance and federal stalking as I remained in the state of California, traveling to the state of Nevada, ceaselessly. It did not skip a beat. It did not take one moment's pause. So you're going from the terrorist organizations in the state of California to the terrorist organizations, Nevada State Police, CHP, the Nevada, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, group stalking. That's exactly what I captured as well. So I just want to be clear. This is a sex offense committed by the population. Engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking on the venue of the internet is the evidence of a perpetual sex offender. Doing so while you're in your castle, all right, where you have not welcomed the government to keep you under surveillance, to monitor you while you're also engaged in any personal or private activity, which why is the population interested in your nudity, interested in your personal private activity? Why are they doing that? Why are they stalking openly like you've seen FedEx doing, like you've seen SoCal Gas doing, like you've seen them while they're parked on Lifeline ambulance doing, like you've seen them engaging in while they are, like you've seen FedEx doing? And let's recall what FedEx is doing under the fake sun at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's impossible light on the ground, which is not the product of driving under the sun. The fake sun that's over this hotel in the morning at 9:04 in the morning. This is the same fake sun that remains still at the same property. So let's look at, as this is a demon. This is unfortunate because I want you to see these pictures. I'm capturing a person that has a demon on them, and the more I take pictures of it, the more this demon is moving around, which is monitoring me. They're in engineered light. His shadow is in front of him. His shadow is behind him. He was stalking using his vehicle in the parking lot, acting very malicious, and then looking very foolish. Demon possession is nothing to laugh about. These are people who are in bondage. Okay, their bondage, their sin, in other words, has gotten them to the degree where they're going to be prosecuted under natural law for criminal activity. That's how bad they need to repent. Okay, but nonetheless, you're learning not only about demon possession. You're looking at impossible light activity. This is not the product of light, normal light that you're buying from Lowe's and Walmart or wherever you're buying it from. When you build a structure and you put up lights in the building, it doesn't create shadows in front of you and shadows behind you. This is the demonic environment. And you're looking at what's becoming significant regarding the movement of those people in that environment. Shadows moving around. He's facing forward. He's facing backwards. As I take pictures more, this demon starts moving around more. He is monitoring me. This is also revealing a mentally deranged person that wants to hide it. Okay, he's stalking in the parking lot with the rest of the demons. He's walking with his lokes on like he's cool. He's not. He's a stalker. He's a demon. He needs deliverance, and he's a highly malicious and a vicious one, a sex offender. Okay, and this is the reality of that. I want you to see his face, and the reality of what is not funny under any circumstances is showing how, again, federal group stalking and monitoring is not just about the criminal conduct, not just about the fact that Alan San Victor is of the same demonic condition, a sex offender, stalking, having access to helicopters. This demon has access to the hotel room near me. Both of whom are sex offenders, both of whom are the same condition, both of whom are obsessively consumed with keeping me under surveillance in violation of existing constitutional and human rights. There is no difference, contrary to what you may think, between the demon going by the name of Alan San Victoris, the demon going by the name of Dominic Choi, and this demon who is nameless amongst the population. The population is sharing the same exact condition, engaging in the same criminal system. And you are looking at a person that is being compelled by a demon while he's literally dancing around, tiptoeing as I'm capturing pictures, and he's monitoring. That's the significance of what he's doing. He's monitoring around, moving back and forth. This is clearly It's pathetic, but this is the reality of demon possession. And this is actually what all of the people of the state are doing. It's just highlighted when you see somebody that's standing in a small space and it's like, what are you doing? Just walk. Oh, I'm just, but he's pacing. That's what this demon is doing. The more that I take pictures of him, which he's aware of, the demons remember, he doesn't have to look at a phone. The demons don't have to look at a phone. They know what you're doing on your phone. This is why you're going to be prosecuting as sex offenders, because what the demons know is relevant to what is criminal conduct on the internet internet. It's relevant to what is legally relevant regarding where you're at and what you're engaging in while you're subject to their demonic and criminal pattern of conduct. Remember, this is the government that's inside of this hotel, pacing all around like a fool, a demon-possessed one, okay? Doing so while they are aware of the fact that I'm capturing images, and you know about that awareness because of the impossibility of the light activity. So this is how you're recognizing intent. All right, the demons were relying, the corrupt government is relying on the fact that you don't know the individual, and that's not the basis of federal group stalking and monitoring. You're recognizing the malice of the corrupt government that is relying on your ignorance about the spiritually significant conduct, meaning the demonic environment and the demonic behaviors. And you are not in any way impervious to federal prosecution because you engage in criminal conduct that is demonic at its root. So you're talking about what's necessary? Oh, we're just going to make sure that the federal government can recognize the demonic elements that are relevant for prosecuting public corruption. So the entity is engaging in this tiptoeing around in directed light. This is monitoring. Period, on its face. First of all, it's monitoring. I'm going to prosecute based on criminal presence in the path and activity creation, period. But I can analyze this further for you. This is a demon-possessed person who needs deliverance. He needs the Lord Jesus Christ. He needs a salvation. This is a lost soul. This is a sex offender. A person with a demon on them, they're stalking in hotel rooms all around me right now. They're aware of what it is that I'm looking at on my phone when I'm looking at my bank accounts. They're monitoring on the freeways. This represents the population who's stalking on the freeway on the 210, driving inside of the empty parking lot. Every single venue is closed at Huntington Oaks Center. They're stalking. They're also stalking while they're flying over my head inside of my hotel room at Courtyard by Marriott, which is facing Huntington Oaks Center. That helicopter that I captured about 5 minutes ago at 1:06 a.m. This video is going to be published on the internet. This is the podcast, the audio version, which is going onto the internet as well. I'm going to publish this as well. But in order to see what I'm talking about, you'll need to see the video, which will be published onto YouTube as soon as possible. It will be shared on the Google Drive immediately, however. So when I publish the podcast, I'll go ahead and share the link so that you can see this screen recording and you can look at it and listen to it at the same time so that you can witness demon possession. Okay, so this is what is speaking to the identity of a sex offender, the identity of a stalker, a group stalker, the identity of what is a psychopath. Okay, and this is shared by Alan Sanvictorous, a demon who is over a terrorist organization. This is a terrorist leader over a terrorist organization who's of the exact same condition, and the department that he is over is engaging in the identical pattern of conduct. Identical. In the specific environment where it's impossible that you have, first of all, the phenomenon of the fake sun remaining over Alvarado Gardens for the duration of the day. I mean, for 12 plus hours. So when I go to a different location and that pattern is being repeated, that is the direct evidence of what is insurmountable and irreducible evidence of a statewide pattern of conduct, which is demonic at its root. This is how you're getting to recognizing, you already know what Courtyard by Marriott is engaging in because it's exactly what was underway by speaker companies and by every other third party acting commercially while they were group stalking at Alvarado Gardens under a fake sun. All right, because also science, logic, okay, dictates, and the fact that the sun that's remaining, because there's only one, not 14. Okay, there's only one. And so since the one that I captured remaining over me at Alvarado Gardens for the duration of the day is already sitting on the record, there is no provision for the sun to ever be anywhere near in Monrovia. This is speaking to the absence of any light source over me anywhere in the city of Monrovia, let alone on the 215 freeway en route to Las Vegas, Nevada, where you saw the exact opposite. It remained over my head the entire time, both leaving and returning to California, even down to returning back to California and coming right to Monrovia, where the demons were stalking in helicopter while I'm driving into the city of Monrovia, because the demons know exactly where I'm at. They're providing evidence against the entire state while they do so, by the way. Use of the freeways, which is what the state is doing. Everybody on the freeway, everybody in all the buildings, they're all engaging in the same exact P.O.C. And they're real-time knowledge of what it is you're documenting as you document while helicopters are stalking. That's a demon. That's the ability to recognize that. Okay, that analysis you can immediately rattle off, and you're recognizing the ability to prosecute a whole government where you have American citizens losing their lives in the specific environment, especially at the hands of corrupt government leaders holding positions analogous to Dominic Choi or Alan Sanvictorous' department having anything to do with the loss of American life while they are engaging in what is exercising fictitious authority. The federal government has probable cause to investigate any loss of life while they are exercising fictitious authority because the state is engaging engaging in what is criminal surveillance, and it's demonic. They're sacrificing people. They're doing so while they're engaged in a matter of public corruption, and they are abusing their positions and then masquerading as though they're investigating these murders that they're engaging in while federal group stalking and monitoring is underway. It's not the loss of life. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake when criminal conduct that the government is engaging in presupposes. All right. It precedes whatever harms American citizens are subject to. So you're going to be prosecuted for the criminal conduct that reasonably follows your exercise of fictitious authority where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway. This is how you have the sacrificing of people, American citizens, whom I will not name because the federal government is to maintain ongoing investigations that need to be had in order to expose what it is that is on its face. These cases that I see, federal group stalking and monitoring is not a part of the conversation right now, where the entire population, this is a matter of public corruption in this country, and the government that is corrupt is engaging in this demonic system with the people of the state, and then you have loss of life and loss of property, for example, and loss of reputation. These are criminal acts. These are criminal acts by this corrupt entity while this criminal system is underway, and that's this calling for justice. Okay, so this is what I'm exposing. While let me be clear, while you saw that helicopter flying over my head, you saw the exposure and the removal of Alan San Victoris, and also the demon that is over the Monrovia Fire Department. So let's look at those faces because they are going to be prosecuted while in the city of Monrovia. This is the criminal system that is underway while you have a random demon driving a FedEx vehicle. An impossible light is trailing in the shade on the ground while you're just driving a FedEx vehicle crossing path. You want to be looked at as just engaging in some sort of ordinary duty. Not even a duty, ordinary occupation of just delivering a package, but you're not under that which is not possibly the sun while it's remaining over Alvarado Gardens all day long. And while it's still in the same position over the same parking lot, 10 hours from where I captured it, where FedEx's group stalking, okay? Where you have what is FedEx repeatedly arriving at the property, for example, delivering packages all day long, which is what the surveillance cameras are going to show. Traffic cameras, the business records of FedEx, engaging in criminal conduct, which it is literally providing for the feds while they engage in what is public corruption. The entity engages in the P.O.C. in plain sight. So you're literally going to take their business records and prosecute them. And if they want to muddy the records, remove the records, damage the records, alter the records, federal prison all the way around. Nonetheless, the criminal act, it's in plain sight. It's literally using their business records, what the business is doing they're doing it while federal group stalking and monitoring is underway, and you're going to prosecute. This is occurring on Alan San Victoris' watch. While a demon flying a helicopter over my head in this specific environment where the shadow of this banister outside of this window, the shadow is appearing in the shade and it's reaching onto the wall of my hotel room. That's called impossible light activity, where you're looking at the hallmark. This is what I've been showing for years. In the specific environment, demons are always following me around in helicopters. And you know that they're demons because they've also demonstrated their demon possession via amplification, via stalking with activity creations, while they use fire trucks and police vehicles and ambulances to engage in the same demonic behaviors that you see the people of the state engaging in. Stalking in the path, molesting me with light activity, as though that's ever going to happen when you're just driving a vehicle. That's an impossible occurrence. But let's revisit the demonic behaviors that not only FedEx, representing a population, a business driving a FedEx, that's evidence in the same way that the freeway is evidence of the whole state. A FedEx employee driving by an impossible light activity under the fake sun is evidence of the whole state. Public corruption. Federal group stalking and monitoring. So the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. So I'm looking at this is evidence. Again, you're going to have to look at the video that will be published to the Google Drive, and it will be published to YouTube as soon as possible. This is crossing path under the fake sun. And what's going on is engineered light is moving across this curb while I am capturing crossing a path while I'm outside. This is Courtyard by Marriott right here. All right. And as I walk outside, the fake sun moves as I move, walking around the building of Courtyard by Marriott. These are demons crossing path, and light is moving across that brick wall. That's why I'm pointing it out. All right. These are videos that have yet to be published to YouTube. They will be put up as soon as possible. Okay. I'm getting through the very far-reaching evidence. The state of California, acting via the terrorist organization, the LAPD, who was waiting to be disbanded, they provided thousands and thousands of video documentation that I'm still getting through and publishing it onto the venue of the internet in a manner that the world can readily identify the criminal system that I remain subject to. This is the criminal system that I have been subject to since I became aware of it and immediately began documenting it. And I want to point out that the LAPD was instrumental in that terrorism that I was subject to. Realizing that I was subject to it is a terrifying, terrorizing experience. And they've been to date, still, you're talking about 2018 to 2024. The Los Angeles Police Department, who showed the reality, the truth that I speak, while they in hundreds and hundreds of videos are openly engaging in terrorism, as foolishly as Alan San Victoris is captured stalking me in a helicopter. History, if any prudent student of history would pay attention, you do not want to repeat the same mistakes of your demonic predecessors who are going to suffer under federal law. You're going to suffer as well, Alan San Victoris, and the entire MONROVIA Police Department. All right. While I'm subject to terrorists and demons are stalking with audible activity while I move my hand around, that's the prosecution of Alan San Victoris, because those demons occupy a police department. That's speaking to fictitious exercise of authority they don't have. And they currently are stalking in helicopters, flying over this hotel where the fake sun remains over this hotel while engineered light is over this hotel as I'm showing you this banner. Okay, and that's a demon inside of room 612. Their name, the method which they paid, and anybody else that's with them, they're going to be prosecuted as domestic terrorists. That's a very serious federal offense. And if they're not natural born citizens, they're going to be deported. If they have any children, that's going to be noted by the federal government. They will be separated from them. They are engaging in what is a sex offense, and they're going to be noted, prosecuted. Group stalking is a violent sex offense. And like any sex offender on the Megan's list, you will be stopped from just readily moving into any neighborhood that you want to, getting any job that you know. That's not the case. Like any other terrorist and sex offender, you're talking about being prosecuted and treated as the animals that they are, conspiring to murder and kidnap people in the state of California. So there's a price to pay for that, and there's also a criminal penalty for that. While the entity is currently engaging in this amongst a population that is literally exploiting and masquerading as a free society, there's nothing free about it. And so that's what's relevant with regard to my clasping my hands together, and at the same time, a boom is heard in my room. And that boom is heard, by the way, at 1:17 in the morning. That's called, first of all, on its face, a substantial disruption. But substantial disruptions are an ongoing, coexisting aspect of the pattern of conduct. That's why federal group stalking and monitoring is harassment as an entity. It's terrorism as an entity that is surrounding you with its demonic elements of monitoring, keeping you under surveillance, monitoring you, in other words, which is state surveillance. They're doing it as unofficial and unintelligent, unsophisticated Secret Service agents who are stalking in the Huntington Oak Center, just stalking in a dark parking lot, stalking by driving up and down the street, stalking while maintaining presence on the 210 freeway, which is heard inside of my hotel room. Just because you can see the freeway doesn't mean you can hear what's going on the freeway. That's speaking to the admission that a whole state is stalking you. And that's how you're going to use that idiotic criminal conduct. It's idiotic on its face. Okay, but that's going to prosecute terrorists such as Alan San Victoris, who was a violent sex offender, and he is not to be treated differently than any other demon. Okay, demons that are tap dancing inside of the hotel in directed light, demons that are stalking in helicopters, they're the same entity. All right, and one is to be immediately removed as they pose a threat to the American lives in a position where they are facilitating this government system, conspiring with American citizens to kidnap and murder them, and then maintain the narrative, control a narrative after the fact. They're the ones that are conducting so-called investigations. They're the ones providing results regarding so-called autopsies that are conducted. They're the ones that are acting with the people of the state that maintain a narrative that may or may not actually coincide with the actual character of the targeted individual, of the American citizen, and regarding the facts and circumstances surrounding that loss of life, or surrounding why they are kidnapped inside of whatever facility. This is the corrupt government that's doing so. And so while you're engaging in that, you're understanding the federal laws that are going to surround. This is the people of the state that are group stalking in a specific environment. And engineer light is moving across the brick wall while you're just driving by. So this is speaking to impossible light activity under a fake sun. Remember, the so-called sun is remaining over Alvarado Gardens, just as one example. From the beginning to the end of the day, what you see outside of my living room window and setting through my bedroom window is not over Courtyard by Marriott. It's not over Panda Express in that parking lot at that driveway at the same time, nor at any time of day is there any provision based on because there's not 14 suns, there's only one sun.
There's only one. And the entity provided evidence such that the one son is remaining over me at Alvarado Gardens all day long. Okay, then there's no son that's going to be at Courtyard by Marriott at 700 West Huntington Drive in Monrovia, California. This is where the entity is stalking in helicopters, however, where that phenomenon is being captured. This is where what you're understanding readily off the bat, that's a demon that's engaging in a pattern of noise creation, audible activity, while I make any sort of new movement. That's a psychopath that will continuously provide such evidence against him or herself and the entire state and every government department, all right, while they are monitoring, aware of the evidence that's being captured. That's a psychopath. That's the public safety concern, because the psychopaths surround you wherever you're at. Okay, so I want to be clear. The entity is engaging in what is demonic. So I don't mean somebody that's, having a bad day and just engaging in just noisy activity that just happens to mirror the targeted individual. No, that's a demon-possessed person. And this is a demon-possessed population who are engaging in a demonic behavior that is in sync in the demonic environment. It's demonic, and it is nothing less than that. And it is speaking to a population of demons who are engaging in Satan's surveillance system. And it includes police departments such as the MONROVIA Police Department. And while you're looking at traffic, these are the demons that are stalking on the 210 freeway. In the same way that sun's not going to ricochet off of your car, especially while it's over my apartment, over the top of my head at Alvarado Gardens at 1800 North Alvarado Street. There's no sun in any position of the sun that's going to result in light moving across the brick wall while you're driving by it, like I'm capturing there and like I'm capturing on an ongoing basis. But I've got even more than that. Let's just recall what the entity was engaging in as I documented the P.O.C. going to the Panda Express days ago. This is the entity. You can see this is the fake sun that's through the at 10:34 in the morning. This is the entity. Remember, 7:20 in the morning at 10:34. It's in the same position to be seen through a windshield of a vehicle that's facing this. This is the same Panda Express, and I'm facing this direction at 7. It's non-movement for it to be seen through a windshield of a vehicle driving at the same location. Okay, but you know that because I'm capturing the fake sun at all times. But nonetheless, this is the entity that is stalking, and so I want you to see what the people of the state are demonstrating. It's not just the tap dancing all around while a demon is maintaining movement, aware of the fact that you're taking pictures of them. That's speaking to the mental illness and how literally human beings become puppets to Satan while they are of this condition. But that's not evidence of acting outside of your own volition. They know exactly what they're doing. They act of their own volition. I'm exposing the condition and what is relevant to prosecution of a state. Not only is it prosecution for terrorism because the government's keeping you under surveillance, that government's going to be prosecuted. And remember, Courtyard by Marriott is not a legitimate business. It's in the shoes of the state. So the government's going to be prosecuted based on the fact that not only is it keeping you under surveillance, it's doing it with the people, and it's doing it while demon-possessed, doing it in demonic methods, which is reasonably and deliberately engaged in for the purpose to psychologically torture, criminally defame, and terrorize an American citizen. That's why you engage in demonic methods of group stalking. Group stalking is demonic activity. So you're looking at people that are demon possessed, okay? And they're demon possessed while they know what you're doing, while you're inside of your room, in the specific environment where a fake sun is present all day long. And this is the population that's stalking using minor children. Okay, these are demons together, different races, stalking in the hotel room, and engineered light, multiple shadows, using minor children. Using minor children is never going to create an earthquake inside of my hotel room, but this is what the demons do while they're stalking in the path together. Demons that are using black people, demons that are using white folks and all their kids, and Latina, that look like a Latina young lady, they're group stalking together. Okay, Satan is an equal opportunist with regard to his criminal system, but Satan wants you to be a bigot and a racist. That's called deception. Okay, so the entity is engaging in this conduct, and I want you to see what is the openly engaging in surveillance. This is what I'm referencing. SoCal Gas, FedEx, this is surveillance under the fake sun. SoCal Gas, this is surveillance under the fake sun. And they openly engage in this. This is presupposes, this is what the terrorist organizations do. They park on the set, and you're not supposed to be aware of the fact that the fake sun, amplified audible activity, and impossible light activity is terrorizing an American citizen. And you're never supposed to connect the dots regarding what's going on around. You're going to prosecute these commercial actors who are engaged in federal stalking, while impossible audible activity coexists with their criminal presence in the path, just like you heard. You can't hear any motorcycle. That's a demon that's stalking, and it's an admission against an entity that engages in a sex offense. All right? So just want to be clear. This is the thick, plain glass. You can't hear anything through this glass. You're literally witnessing the demonic as you hear the sound of what's supposed to be traffic. It's the demonic. As impossible as seeing the sun over me for 12 plus hours, I have to capture it on video and in images so you can see it is impossible. It's demonic. Right? Courtyard by Marriott is going to compensate for the terrorism that I'm subject to while they engage in the perpetual sex offense, while engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking, and they do so in the shoes of the government that flew over my hotel room after 12 o'clock in the morning in a helicopter. All right? And that's on video during the screen recording as I'm simultaneously capturing podcasts. So this is while demons are driving through the parking lot of Courtyard by Marriott. Those are demons that are just engaging in pacing. It's literally akin to driving in a circle. Demons that are walking out of the hotel, getting in their vehicles, starting them, they're engaging in surveillance. Demons that are driving in the parking lot, they're engaging in light activity and relevant positioning. This is all that they're doing. Okay, so giving context to what surveillance cameras are going to capture. So the entity is engaging in this conduct and driving from the street into the parking lot of Courtyard by Marriott right now is group stalkers who are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they're focusing their activity based on where I'm at. My room on the 5th floor facing the Panda Express, facing the 210 freeway, is where they're pacing in their in the vehicles. And it's either a demon that is deluded enough to get out of their car and go into the hotel, which you can do that or you cannot do that. The entire population, nobody's avoiding, the state of California is not avoiding any punishment. So the entity does that, and demons such as Alan San Victorous are going to be prosecuted for what the state of California is engaging in, because it's what he is engaging in and the entire department is engaging in. So the entity is doing so, maintaining the elements of monitoring, and I want you to see what the demons who are stalking in a hotel room are doing. This is the same fake sun, all right, at 7:20 in the morning. This is Courtyard by Marriott. This is where I'm inside of right now. I'm facing this location where there are demons at stalking in this parking lot. This shopping center is closed. So they're driving in and through this parking lot, this closed down business at 12 in the morning, because I've opened my blinds, because I'm in operation capturing video, and demons that are also concentrating using their communication devices. They're engaged in surveillance and they're engaged in group stalking. They're maintaining activity and they're engaged in surveillance on the internet. That's the significance in a specific environment. That's the ability to know all of that, which I just stated, because they're doing so based on what I'm doing, and it's also known because of the environment that they're doing it in. And it's very targeted. It's also where the entity flew over my head in this video in a helicopter. So nonetheless, that's the significance of driving around in the entirely closed down shopping center in Monrovia. This is not Crenshaw. Okay, there's no car show going on. This is not that supposedly Monrovia would also at the same time talk out of their mouth, double talking. Okay, double speaking. Oh, this isn't that type of neighborhood, but you've got people, random people just sitting in the empty parking lot, as though this isn't you don't have any tomfoolery going on. This is that type of hood environment, but you've got what is openly just hanging out in the empty parking lot. So there's nothing else to do. And I'm letting you know, even if they made up a festival, they're group stalking. They're group stalking. That's all they're doing in a specific environment where you're seeing impossible light activity and the sun is over them for 12 plus hours. It's P.O.C. And out of this window at 7:20 in the morning, this is the position. This is the same parking lot. This is the same window space, sky space, non-movement. 7:20 to 5:01. Yeah, these are demons who are stalking in this shopping center where Panda Express is located at 1 o'clock in the morning. They're driving in and through this parking lot, driving down the street, driving in through this parking lot, in and out, and driving along the 210 freeway. Group stalking. Okay, this is the entity that's stalking, flying over my head in a helicopter, which again, this is all a body of evidence, but I want you to see what the demons were doing. And this is capturing, the P.O.C. This was captured 4:36 p.m. And again, you're going to review this evidence that I'm capturing on the screen recording on the Google Drive and on YouTube. That's impossible light activity. But this demon with license plate 9KHN746 driving the white Ioniq 5 and then openly engages in surveillance by parking, just like you see FedEx and SoCal Gas doing. But the Lifeline ambulance openly engaging in surveillance by parking in relevant position in the specific environment. That's called surveillance. You're training your eyes of recognizing the criminal conduct by the population. That's practicing federal group stalking monitoring, and you are not free to engage in that. I'm going to prosecute you civilly and criminally. Okay, the entity is engaging in open criminal conduct. The engagement in it right before your eyes, you're training your eyes to recognize what it is that you're looking at because they're doing it right in front of your face, including the foolish conduct of stalking in a helicopter. And you are stalking in a specific environment in helicopters. And let me be clear, you don't even need the trained eye recognizing open stalking in California by helicopters, because this is something that the state of California is doing every city that I'm in. You are obviously stalking. This is no longer something that's some sort of filter that I have to remind everybody about. No. It is clearly seen through the body of evidence. California is clearly stalking me with helicopters. So this is the foolish evidence that the entity continues to provide against who? Not only Alan San Victoris and demons like him, the people of the state of California. The people of the state of California. So the entity is engaging in this, and these are the demons who are taking up space in the hotel in this specific environment. These are demons who are stalking with audible activity while they know my physical movement. They're also aware of how much is in my bank account. They know how much of a credit card payment I made on my Capital One. They know what it is that I'm talking about when I call the front desk who's group stalking with them, and I'm complaining about their demonic behaviors, which I politely put in terms of making just a substantial disruption, because this is my diplomatic means of documenting them, because Courtyard by Marriott is going to compensate me, and I'm going to expose them for being sex offenders and domestic terrorists. That's what's happening. So the entity is doing so while crossing path again on this same street where Panda Express is. That's the entity that's group stalking. So the entity is engaging in this conduct while it is witnessing its own demise. Engaging in what is psychotic. Demonic behavior is psychotic. You're witnessing what is true mental illness, contrary to what you've been told and taught about mental illness regarding, by the way, targeted individuals who have lost their lives. They've been criminally defamed as mentally ill. Okay, you're not going to listen to Satan regarding what is mental illness when Satan is fully exposing what his mental illness, and I'm speaking in the term plurally as I refer in the masculine. Okay, so this is speaking to a population that is mentally ill, and that mental illness is shown through their criminal conduct, which is psychotic. It's inexplicable, in other words. It's entirely twisted. It's wicked, okay? But it's also speaking to what is psychotic because the government is caught. And yet the government continues. The government has no defense. The government is going to answer, and it's going to answer under the specific name of Alan San Victoris. And yet the government continues. That's not suggesting that you're innocent. The federal government knows exactly what you're doing. They, in the same way that the entity is obsessively stalking me, they understand everything. I am not speaking in riddles that they will not understand, that they do not understand. They know exactly what you're doing. You're going to be prosecuted. You are a psychopath while you continue to your own demise. And it will be as specific as Alan San Victoris. There is no ambiguity. There is no vagueness. The demon stalking in room 612 is acting with the Monrovia Police Department. The demon stalking in 513, 514, and 511, stalking with the Monrovia Fire Department. Okay, this is how you're going to prosecute the state. Because the state is acting with the people. All the acts of criminal summoning, they're doing it under the fake sun that remains over. Okay, this is the evidence that you're surrounded by while who is it that because the federal government's not confused. I've already established my credibility. I don't have to make up anything. I'm not interested in making up anything. I want justice, because people are losing their lives in this country. They're being murdered by psychopaths like the people of the state, like the state of California. Demons who shall be removed, such as Karen Bass. Demons who shall be removed, such as Dominic Choi, Robert Luna, Alan San Victoris, and I can continue. I went to the state of Nevada, and you learned about other government actors who are going to be plucked out. Plucked out. All right, so it is currently, by the way, 1:33 a.m. I just wanted to capture what is the audible activity. This is the ongoing evidence. While the target individual is subject to this, this is as terrorizing and harassing as the impossible light activity, as the maintenance of a fake sun over your head all day long, the amplified audible activity that not only is pervasive, it's constructive presence by the state. And why? Because the state is always stalking the specific environment. So that audible activity is evidence against the government that's keeping you under surveillance. The government's group stalking with the state, the people of the state. Everybody in this hotel room, it's a hotel again, a hotel full of defendants, and they provide evidence against themselves because this public corruption is happening in plain sight. So there is no mystery in any criminal acts to try to hide your identity. First of all, that's going to be found out. The government already knows that you are despicable with regard to criminal acts of obstruction of justice as a pattern, and that's just speaking to enhancement to charges and federal sentencing. Period. That's it. Okay, so you're dealing with psychopaths, mentally deranged psychopaths, who well, every other normal person would see, okay, there's no other paths here. It's not looking good. Maybe I should make a different decision. A psychopath, a deranged, demon-possessed actor, okay, who is mentally ill does not make such reasonable decisions. They continue. They are the type, again, as I've stated, they reason in their mind, they need to go out and murder more people because the evidence against them, which is serving for a prosecution beyond reasonable doubt, is somehow going to be thwarted when they go out and kill more people. And that's not the case. The evidence remains on the record. They know exactly who killed everyone else while that evidence sits. It's speaking to an MO and the entity, the law enforcement agency, because it's not the police. The police are going to be prosecuted here. Federal group stalking and monitoring, but it provides for an MO regarding who is killing the other people that's continuously engaging in this rampage. That's, again, the reasonable mind is what it goes there, but not the psychopath. That's the mental illness of the demon possessed. That is what fills and animates Alan San Victoris. And how do you know that? Because the entire police department is practicing the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. It is impossible to have that ongoing coincidence. It's called a pattern, stalking in helicopters. The stalking is readily identified because of the demonic environment. You are under a fake sun that is no longer over Alvarado Gardens all day long. Now it's over Courtyard by Marriott, and you are foolish enough to be caught on my camera in a helicopter. That is openly and very foolishly engaging in the criminal conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. It's a readily identifiable federal prosecution. All right. And it is serving for, I want to be clear, permeating these corrupt, these filthy departments, these terrorist organizations whose blood is American citizens, their blood is on their hands while they've been engaging in this system, and any loss of life while they're exercising fictitious authority, it's actually criminal conduct. And how do you analogize? You're talking about engaging in a criminal act such as robbing a bank. You and your partner are robbing a bank. So when you're engaging in robbing a bank, that's a violent crime. And it is reasonably foreseeable that loss of life will result from engaging in such a violent crime, even if you didn't plan on killing somebody, because you're going in and using guns and taking money by force, and you're dealing with people who may or may not comply or engage in something that might be outside of your plan. Loss of life is very reasonable to occur. It's reasonably foreseeable, and you are held accountable for that. It logically follows, and legally it follows with regard to federal group stalking and monitoring. You're engaging in what is the conspiracy to murder and kidnap people. You have a population of those. First of all, your condition therefore becomes legally relevant. These are not sane people. These are psychopaths, demon-possessed psychopaths who are inexplicably consumed and obsessed with one person while they are engaging in criminal conduct, sexually violent, psychotic. Okay, on its face. And you know that because you're monitoring the documentation about your criminal conduct, about your targeting methods. So the demons know that it's something that the target individual doesn't like. You're not reasonably ignorant about the nature of your crimes, nor are you actually ignorant about the nature of your crimes. And you do it in the shoes of the state. And it is reasonably foreseeable that people will lose their lives while you, in the shoes of the state, and the state acting directly, fictitious exercise of authority, in other words, and there's any loss of life. That's how federal group stalking and monitoring should be prosecuted, because that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. So you were talking about permeating these filthy departments and all the ways in which justice has been avoided, obstructed. Okay? And this is the providence where demons that point to Alan San Victoris stalking me in a helicopter, where I'm capturing you on podcast and on screen recording for the world to witness as well. When you're speaking to removal from those, and you will also produce the name of that stalker in the helicopter because they're going to federal prison. And if you don't want to produce it, which you will, but any acts to obstruct justice, you're going to federal prison. You're not avoiding it. Period. Okay, in the same way that American citizens cannot avoid the ongoing conspiracy to murder and criminally defame them, kidnap them. Justice is going to be as unapologetic. Okay. So it is 1:38 a.m. on Sunday, August 18, 2024, which you can see that this podcast is coexisting with a screen recording that does not have audio. Okay. And that's just because my phone had to, I'm competing with using the microphone to capture the screen recording or using the microphone in order to capture the podcast. What you will see is the great distance that the 210 freeway is from me. You will hear, okay, the thick double pane glass, which is impossible. You're not going to hear any freeway. You're not going to hear any motorcycle on Huntington. You're not going to hear any large 18-wheeler driving on this side street right here that I'm pointing at outside of my hotel window. You're not going to hear any traffic on the 210 freeway. You can hear demons. Okay, those are demons who are stalking, and it is as impossible as this light activity that you see inside of my hotel room. The shadow of this gate is appearing adjacent to it, and it's reaching inside of the gate. It's as demonic as it gets. It's the same exact pattern of conduct. This is a system that's underway. Remember, Courtyard by Marriott represents a commercial actor. I'm not inside of my private residence anymore. I'm at a third-party facilitating venue. This hotel room is a private space. So you're prosecuting based on the sex offense that I remain subject to. Helicopters flying over me, amplified audible activity, impossible light activity. The fake sun is over this venue for an excess of 11 to 12 hours a day. That's the P.O.C. That's the P.O.C. So this is what I want to make sure I capture. Again, it's August 18, 2024. This is inside of my private space, inside of the hotel room, where the state of California is keeping a single woman under surveillance, one whom they are aware is documenting it as well. That is relevant to the ways in which the state of California is going to be prosecuted, and it will be down to the individualization, such as Alan San Victoris. That's how specific it is. There is no ambiguity with regard to the ways in which the state of California is going to be prosecuted. All right. It is currently, again, 1:40 a.m. and this is P.O.C. Let me just see also if if my headphones are also if All right, it is currently Sunday, August 18, 2024. It's 2:48 p.m. And this is podcast, which is adding on audio documentation regarding the series of images and video that is captured, revealing the specific environment that is inside of third-party facilitating venue Courtyard by Marriott at 700 West Huntington Drive in Monrovia, California. That makes up what is, first of all, the specific environment that is outside, which I reminded you about, where you can see the timestamp of the light source that's over me, directly over my hotel room at 7:20 in the morning. And as I am still at that same location at the Panda Express vantage point, which is the same sky space, same location of what is clearly not the sun, and counting the hours from 7:20, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's over 9 hours later at 5 p.m. You can see that light source again hovering directly over me while I'm at Panda and Express, which is inside of Huntington Oaks Center, which is directly across the street where you saw the demon possessed engaging in surveillance, stalking in the path, in that dark parking lot where Huntington Oaks Center is closed, doesn't open until 11 a.m. The reason why you have that is called the elements of monitoring. Doing so as unofficial agents of an unintelligent and unofficial and criminal enterprise that the Monrovia Police Department and Alan San Victoris specifically are engaging in. And that's why you saw a helicopter fly over my head inside of this hotel room. And this is, I'm referencing the screen recording video that I captured this morning after 12 a.m. and the video that I captured this afternoon, which is revealing the specific environment that's always surrounding. I captured the specific environment outside of the doors of this hotel where my shadow is appearing, again, underneath the shaded structure of this hotel, my upright shadow that's enlarged in size. And I show you on the outside of the building, directly above where there's no covering, there's the fake sun. And then underneath the covering to maintain light activity where criminal monitoring, demonic activity is underway. Demonic activity, which is relevant, integral to this demonic monitoring system and criminal surveillance, is the engineered light. And you will also see the maintenance of a fake sun that is over this address, 700 West Huntington Drive in Monrovia, for an excess of 11 hours, as I'm showing you, reminding you about the duration of time analysis, which is, again, juxtaposed to what the entity was doing at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, where the two are not happening at the same time. Neither is any one venue indicative of the natural environment, because the sun is not a stationary, stagnated object, nor does it create any of this light activity that I'm capturing. And inside of the venue, where the demons are group stalking both as patrons stalking by staying in the hotel, and they're also stalking by working at the hotel. Those are called third-party group stalkers, not different from Carla Lopez, Maria Solis Alvarez, who were working for a third-party company, hired me as a third-party employer. They're going to federal prison. As a third-party facilitating venue, in ceaselessly engaging in, that's an intolerable level of facilitation, the third parties at Courtyard by Marriott are going to federal prison. While they pose an impermissible threat and are literally exhibiting hostility, that's a threat to my life, while you're conspiring to murder and kidnap me, and then you engage in what are acts of terrorism that I'm documenting in the specific environment. So let me be clear, where you see multiple shadows in the hallway, which is not the light activity that's a product of a normal light bulb that you buy from anywhere. Okay, light bulbs create a shadow that are going to be underneath you on the ground, and they will also not create multiple shadows. These are demons who are stalking in a hotel, who are surrounded by that evidence, who are witnessing their exposure while they're engaged in Title 18 criminal activity, and then they are demonstrating their demon possession while I'm subject to sensational activity creation inside of my private space. That's the admission of a sex offender in the demonic environment while they're engaged in federal stalking online. The demon-possessed housekeepers and cleaners who you see in the video that's captured this afternoon, it's currently 2:52 p.m. So this video, you'll see the engineered light, and I take screenshots of it. The entity that is demon-possessed engages in loud, amplified, audible activity. And so this is harassment on its face because it's accomplishing monitoring. So you don't get to go around slamming and banging around stuff. You're monitoring. That's a federal offense. You're a terrorist. In addition, you're doing it because you're engaged in federal stalking. That's an independent basis for federal prison. It's also an impermissible threat. Again, grounds of federal prison upon enhancement, posing an impermissible threat. Doing it while you seek to terrorize and harass while engaging in the sex offense. That is speaking to your mental illness. This is why group stalkers will be subject to mental examinations upon federal prosecution. These third parties that work at Courtyard by Marriott, specifically the people of the state in general, and any state actors such as Alan San Victor's, is not going to be treated differently. When you're exposed, when you are removed from your position, when you are prosecuted as a terrorist leader over a terrorist organization, not a legitimate law enforcement agency. If you are not a natural born citizen, I don't care if it was given to you 45 years ago, you will find yourself deported. Engaging in this un-American terrorism in this country is the basis for immediate revocation. There is no basis upon which, well, if you've been here over 50 years, no. They are posing they are opposing death, but they are posing a threat to the lives of American citizens now, doing so for a prolonged period of time. It is now being exposed, and you're talking about what is immediate grounds of deportation. And that's after you sit in a cage like the animal that you are. Okay? And so this is what Courtyard by Marriott is engaging in: ongoing, amplified, audible activity, highly disruptive, while I'm paying hundreds of dollars to stay inside of a hotel room. This is including the amplified, audible activity through the demons that are stalking on the 210 freeway, the demons that are stalking on Huntington, the demons that are stalking at the Huntington Oaks Center, pacing all around, stalking on the roads and the highways, and stalking in the parking lot, while all of them are witnessing their exposure. And so this is, again, that which is a heightened threat. While it not only is the government keeping you under surveillance, but the government is demon-possessed. The government is acting via Courtyard by Marriott, which is Marriott Bonvoy. Okay? They are going to be prosecuted for engaging in state terrorism, and their demon-possessed workforce is providing the civil recovery that they will compensate me for, and it is also the basis for their federal imprisonment. And this is documentation of what is impunity. And you will see in the screenshots, you will see in the video, the specific environment that's inside of the hotel. And you're also mindful, cognizant always of the specific environment that is making up the outside of the hotel. The audible activity, which is impossible to hear. You can't hear the 210 freeway inside of your hotel room. And also the entity that's keeping a fake sun over this hotel building. That is speaking to the demon possession, which is relevant for the criminal surveillance system that you're subject to while I'm in a private space, which is a hotel room at a third-party facilitating venue. Understand all of these legally relevant aspects of the crime of federal group stalking and monitoring, and then you engage in the absurdly foolish conduct of threatening the federal prosecutor, the federal investigator, and the federal judge that sentences you is very mindful of all of these details that I am laying out now in podcast, and the world is going to review it, and so is that federal court. Okay, so I want to be clear: the impunity that that the entity acts with, and getting off the elevator. Remember, that's a criminal act of surrounding. That's group stalking, and the impossible light activity, the shadow on the ground in front of this demon that's pulling the wagon of towels and blankets. Look at the shadow activity on the ground, on the carpet in front of him. Then look at the shadow of that immediately vacillates to two shadows, while it's both beside him as well. And that beside him would be the wall opposite me. So that would be on his left side. You'll see the shadow that's appearing upright on the wall, and you're mindful of the shadow that's also in front of him. That's impossible light activity, has nothing to do with the lights that are inside of the building. This is while demons are engaging in what is surrounding me. And let me be clear, the demons that are conspiring, stalking, engaging in surveillance, and terrorizing, while as an entity demonstrating their demon possession. Okay. Doing so because they're hostile, that you're exposing them. That is literally terrorism by the government. So you're going to federal prison for that. And the entity fills my hotel room with ongoing demonic elements of monitoring, seeking to specifically harass as a demon possessed entity. All right. Harass as a corrupt public entity while they are mad because they're being exposed. That's a mentally deranged person. Then you see her face up front. She goes very quickly from wearing her gloves. That demon comes right back with her cell phone in hand. And what's she doing walking toward the door? You'll see me reference it. Oh, she's pacing. She's directly pacing. I don't know. She went from, I don't know what she's booming while she's in the room and creating any shaking of the headboard. That's a substantial earthquake. Like, there's nothing that little woman is going to do to create any sort of vibration or anything. Even if she were, I'm being as descriptive as I can, excuse me, while I am describing the sensational activity, but it's the direct work of Satan. Okay, so this person has a demon on them, and that demon in them creates that demonic activity. As demonic as hearing the demons on the freeway who you cannot naturally hear. This is how you are identifying the fact that a demon on a person is both stalking you and targeting you, even as they're at a distance, looking to the left and the right. Not even addressing you, not delivering a package to you, delivering a package to someone else. And engineer light drags on the ground beside their vehicle as they drive off, like you see FedEx engaging in. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct, and you're witnessing the demonic elements. This is relevant for prosecution. Domestic terrorism in the U.S. is tainted with the revelation that the demon possessed are engaging in this demonic system of surveillance. All right, and you go to federal prison for that. You don't have any religious protections while you're demon possessed and keeping an American citizen under surveillance. You're subject to mental examinations to the contrary. All right, and you're going to federal prison while you are exhibiting through my documentation, which I'm thorough and diligent enough to capture, the fact that you at every moment obsessively demonstrated your need and your desire to fully continue to do that. And that's evidence against terrorist organizations such as the MONROVIA police, because the people of the state are group stalking in the shoes of the state. That's why the fake sun is still here. That's why that engineer light is in the hallway. That's why there's ongoing earthquake-like conduct happening inside of my hotel. That's a threat to your life in this specific environment. Understand how the entity is threatening you and how you are analyzing those threats while you're subject to a demonic environment, because that's exactly how you're going to prosecute that. All right. It is currently 2:59 p.m. And this is criminal activity that's being documented, and the demons that are then surrounding me by walking off the elevator. That's relevant positioning. That's a threat to you, demonstrating demon possession in the specific environment. What they're doing, it's grunt. You're getting the context through the environment. That's how you understand what they're doing. And they're doing so with knowledge of the fact that they're being documented. So you're talking about communicating a threat to my life and safety while you are obsessively engaging in the elements of monitoring, mindful of the fact that you're being documented. That's a threat to murder and kidnap someone. Okay, so that's what I'm exposing. Huntington. This is, excuse me, not Huntington, but Monrovia, Courtyard Marriott of Monrovia. All right, and this is all monitoring me as well. They're going to federal prison. It's 2:59 p.m.
Calling your services. How may I help you?
Hi, who am I speaking with?
My name is Lily.
Good afternoon, Lily. How are you?
I'm very well, Miss Spencer. How may I help you?
Great. I'm so glad you know my name already. I'm calling from room 512, and I just wanted to, I don't know who to speak to, but it was just kind of disturbing. I did nicely ask the housekeeping if they could keep it down, but for some reason, I just wanted to bring up, you guys had a housekeeper in room 514, and while I'm laying in my bed, I don't know how she could. She's a little lady, but there was a loud boom, and it was shaking the headboard. I don't know how that could happen. And I actually thought that maybe something happened to her, but I went over and she seemed fine. And she also seemed perplexed about not knowing what happened, even though that clearly it was disrupting me in my room. So anyway, I just wanted to find out if there's a way, if you guys can make sure that the housekeeping keeps it down, please.
Of course. What's the room number that you heard the noise from?
I am in room 512, and the noise, the ruckus was coming from 514, where I found your housekeeper.
All right, I'll just let the housekeeping know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Have a great day. All right, that's first of all that's audible activity. While the entity is engaging in monitoring you, everything as you live your life, it's serving to monitor yourself. So the entity is also going to be prosecuted for that. This is why they keep a fake sun and are always molesting you with engineered light. It's accomplishing monitoring simultaneously, even as you just exist. This is also how you're recognizing a psychopath and a sex offender, because what the target individual does on their own, unless you are literally like a mummy and you never move, you never speak, you never do anything, you don't listen to anything, you don't do, which people aren't doing. You have to get up and go to the restroom at some point and relieve yourself. By nature, you're necessarily getting up and at some point creating activity, serving to monitor yourself. Okay. You're going to prosecute for the sexually violent aspects of the P.O.C. The entity goes out of its way to molest your body with engineered light. It's already demonic. It's impossible. And you are literally going out of your way to touch all over. That's the criminal intent to terrorize and sexually offend while group stalking. Okay. Part of the perpetual sex offense. The entity is engaging in conduct with regard to the amplified audible activity. My television that's on in this room, my use of literally moving around, walking, this is serving to monitor myself. The entity goes out of its way to amplify the sound. Let me be clear. The demon-possessed entity that is monitoring, that is targeting you, is obsessed and simultaneously hostile, and is also angry, especially if you're aware of it. But they're angry at you based on your nature of who you are. That's why you're subject to the system. Who you are, your identity, is something that's infuriating to a demon-possessed entity that's keeping you under surveillance. So that in and of itself, you're understanding and recognizing and prosecuting for, in the same way that you are analyzing any other stalker, okay, that's engaged in traditional stalking, what they say, what they do, both expressly and impliedly, becomes legally relevant, okay? And that's what any criminal justice, that's how you are analyzing and prosecuting stalking. It's not different with regard to the state that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. The environment, the means whereby they're engaging in the system, and the ways in which they engage in that system, speaking to that which they go outside of their necessity in order to engage in it. That's meaning you're a whole sex offender. You just want to touch on me. You're already a sex offender keeping me under surveillance in a hotel room, in the bathroom. All right. You also want to touch on me. You also want to stalk and engage in terrorizing someone under that which is not even a natural environment, and nothing that you're doing in this environment around me focused on what I do as I do it, including as I expose the fact that you're demons and you're stalkers. Understand how that is also exposing the deranged mindset. These are the ticking time bombs whom you see stalking in the hallway in custody of minor children. They're with minor children, and that demon, the Caucasian male, you'll see, again, I'm referencing all the documentation captured today on August 18, 2024, and you will see a Caucasian male, overweight. I believe he has a beverage in his hand. He's got 2 minor children. That demon was pacing in front of my doorway, and as soon as I open my door, he's already en route back, because the demons know what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So while I'm walking toward my door, they're not expecting me to go to the front door and open it, because I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't headed toward that direction. It was an immediate thought to put my trash outside, and as I did, I catch a demon pacing. You know that that's a demon and that's pacing because of the impossible light activity, the fake sun over the venue. It's the same analysis. You do not have ignorant engagement of what is loitering outside of my hotel room, first of all. Also, you have what is in the specific environment. It's not just that you're standing there. Remember, it's not innocent, and it's not free conduct. You're not free. There's nothing that's free and lawful happening in the specific environment. That's why it's there. That's how you're recognizing the intent. The entity is thinking that it can masquerade as a free society and disregards the reality of the specific environment, which shows the malice of that corrupt government, who's acting through the people, who are not in any position exercising any privacy rights. That's what directly rebuts their legally irrelevant claims. I'm free to stand in the hallway. I'm free to check into this hotel. I'm free to drive around in the parking lot. I'm free to be on the freeway. No, they're not. They're engaged in state surveillance. And they're doing it in a specific environment. And they also continue, now that the federal government knows what they're doing, all right, and you're fully aware, all right, of the ways in which they do it, now you're looking at an entity that's continuously providing a flurry of admissions against itself over and over and over. All they're doing is admitting what they're doing. It's an ongoing, incessant admission, okay? And while you engage in that, it reveals your demented mind state. It reveals your malice. It reveals literally your incomprehensible and inexplicable obsession, because no one's questioning here that you're stalking and that you're obsessed. Pray tell why. So it is what I have told you. These are demons. You're dealing with that which is spiritually significant. which corrupt government leaders don't want you to know anything about. Okay. So this is the entity and spirituality. What do I mean? People think that spirituality is only that which is good. First of all, there's only one true and living God, and his name is the Lord Jesus Christ, period. Spirituality outside of the Holy Spirit, you're talking about what is also spiritual as well. Darkness, spiritual darkness, people who walk in spiritual darkness. And that's what it is when you have demons on you. Okay, so people think that practicing any kind of spirituality is okay, even if you have quote unquote good intentions, and that's a lie out of the pit of hell. Okay, there is only one God and his Holy Spirit, period. Anything else is a foreign spirit. Okay, you're talking about what is a dark spirit. There are not multiple routes. There's not more than one path that you know. And this is direct evidence that's speaking to a federal prosecution in the natural, but it's exposing what's going on spiritually, and it's spiritual darkness. Okay, so it is currently 3:06 p.m. That conversation is serving to monitor me as well. And this is terrorism that I'm subject to while a bunch of hostile demons who are engaging in an ongoing conspiracy to murder and kidnap me. And then they're terrorizing further because you're just mad that you lost a long time ago. You're the fool that reported to work today. You're the fool that came and you reported to work to engage in criminal conduct in the specific environment. You're not you're not a fool reporting to work, ignorant about the reality of the target individual being in relevant position. You do so with regard to the malicious system that's underway in the state of California, and you're losing your papers, if you were granted any in this country, upon federal prosecution. You're going right back to wherever you came from. Okay? And this is the proof that you're not welcome here, engaging in this un-American conduct. That's how we reach that conclusion. All right. So this is the P.O.C. 3:07 p.m. and deportation, again, where it's applicable. And this is just speaking to solving a plethora of other issues in the state of California, which, by the way, when you've got a corrupt government that fills the state of California, you're going to witness and you're going to be subject to the mishandling of the business of the people, the mishandling of the funds of the state. And a lot of answers and resolutions will be there naturally when you are deporting terrorists out of the country. They're not here to prostitute the system, the welfare system anymore. And those that are not engaging in this system, which again, there's a minority, okay? And I don't mean minority based on my color. That's a false system that's built on lies. You have to feed into that in order to, and feeding into it is not based on the reality that people are really subject to disproportionate racism and oppression based on their race. That's not the reality I'm talking about. You're talking about Satan, which is the prince of the air, and he is controlling much of what happens on this earth. This is not the reality because Satan is manipulating the justice or the access to this is what the children of God should expect: persecution. All right. And that's regardless of your race. So it doesn't make it a reality because there are literally statistics. I don't even get into statistics, but I'm just speaking to the reality of people. Even as a Black woman, I can even say that we don't have to speak statistically, being subject to many literally patently untrue assumptions about me and about my history and about my lifestyle, about my abilities, my prospects based on the color of my skin, period. Not stating that I'm not disregarding the fact that that's a reality and people actually have that lens, that outlook on people, and based on the reality that other people are subject to that same type of injustice. That does not, contrary, this is headline news, that does not actually make it a reality, meaning it doesn't make it the truth, because you have what are people who, again, serve Satan. This is the world that we're in, a fallen world, who manipulate situations and circumstances of those that happen to be of a particular race. This is the world that we're in. And this is why you're not going to worship the government. This is not why you're not going to worship people. This is why you don't even worship your circumstances. Part of this is something that you're just going to endure while you're a human being. Injustice. You're dealing with sin, fallen man. And fallen man that's in the position of government, that is in a position to affirm what they want to affirm, all right, and oppress what they want to oppress. Okay, there are situations, circumstances where that's going to be more or less inevitable. That does not make it true, though. Their affirmations and their acts of oppression, which work to put a woman like myself at a disadvantage as opposed to my white counterpart. If you are entertaining the notion that there is some competition between yourself and white people, I don't even entertain the notion. I am cognizant of the fact that there is a spirit out here, and it's a racist spirit, and a lot of people are under that. It doesn't make it my reality. It doesn't mean that I identify under it. And it's a matter of walking by faith with regard to whatever it is that might come my way. But I'm not defined by my circumstances. I'm certainly not defined by other people's preconceived notions about me. I'm not defined by even those that look like me, that give into that false narrative. I'm not defined by any of that. I'm not defined by it. So this is speaking to the system in the state of California where you have a corrupt government, and that lends itself to mishandling of funds. Okay, so you've got a lot of money that's just, I'll let you know where a lot of the money is going to that you're not aware of. Federal group stalking and monitoring. There's so much money. They will tear up the concrete to maintain construction on the street, and they're just engaging in light activity and relevant positioning. It was not actually needed. They don't need it. I've witnessed it. They're just group stalking. Based on where I go as I go during the day, and based on what the entity that's keeping me under surveillance knows. So you're talking about maintaining an ongoing presence maliciously amongst the population that's group stalking. So let's tear up the concrete on Main Street. We'll have construction there Monday through Thursday where the target individual is going to the institution or whatever for group stalking. In other words, maintaining the elements of monitoring. And on its face, you're looking at what is some sort of government program. Perhaps it was even planned for whatever period of time, which is not relevant. You're looking at the elements of monitoring. Public corruption is going to appear like that. Okay, you will also see it appear out of nowhere, an emergency need, and all of a sudden we're going to rip up the concrete because we need to do this. We've got an emergency. We've got a malfunction. We need to hurry up and fix this for whatever reason. Under both circumstances, it's the P.O.C. It is the P.O.C. And you are aware of this because of the environment that you have yet been aware of until now. And that's the light source that's over your head. It's not the natural environment. It provides context regarding everything that you are looking at, everything that you're surrounded by. All right. So this is breaking down a lot of false thought processes that you are even accepting because people who look like you, people who are similarly situated as you, by the way, who are strategically placed in order to condition your mind and your outlook. And your condition and your mindset should be based on having the mind of Christ. That's what scripture speaks of. That speaks to that is somebody that's not going to be formed with regard to their outlook based on what the world says, based on the circumstances that the world creates, which you are finding is not a coincidence. It may very well be something that is targeted to oppress you. And that's not just because whether you're a black man or a brown, I'm speaking to everybody, specifically the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the world that we're in. Okay, so, you know, in Christ, we're more than conquerors. This is nothing to sit around and cry about. In other words, I mean, that's just a part of the territory. Scripture is also speaking about the fact you're not above your master. If Christ came and they hated him, they called him a demon. They called him a demon. All right. These are the times that we're in. They will come and they will call evil good and good evil. This is the high level deception that's out at work right now. But with regard to policies such as deportation, with regard to policies such as the criminal record, following engaging in domestic terrorism, this is providing a lot of built-in resolutions for the economy, for the migration issues in the state of California. In this country at that, because federal group stalking and monitoring is a secret system that's been underway, and it is literally taxing, I mean, taking up a lot of funds that are secretly being pushed away, calling it something else on the books, because federal group stalking and monitoring is not expressly identified. And it's going to have built-in resolutions for a lot of the issues that we have in this country with regard to, and in the state with regard to the economy, with regard to the migration issues. Okay, well, half of them are terrorists. You could ship them right up out of this country. Ship them out. Get rid of them. And don't think twice about it. They're terrorizing American cities. You're coming here, been granted the privilege, engaging in un-American conduct with the corrupt government. Now, we will deal with our own problems here in America, but you've been granted the privilege. You're going back to wherever you came from. You're not welcome here, period. That will have built-in resolutions regarding what we have problems with domestically in the state and in this country. And that's inherent. That's inevitable. It's naturally going to follow. Okay. Where you have public corruption, you're going to have mishandling of the money. It's going to be built in. They're corrupt. Okay. So you're abusing it. They're abusing their access. They're abusing their authority. They're abusing the money. All right. This money is being, in the state of California, is being misused for criminal purposes, a whole criminal system. Deportation It is literally a built-in resolution for much of the problems that we have that are literally, it's a problem, but it's actually not a problem. Federal group stalking and monitoring is providing a solution to it. A lot of it will go away when the terrorists go away. Okay, it's currently 3:16 p.m. I just wanted to give that as an aside. This is documentation of ongoing terrorism that I'm subject to at Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia, California. Again, it is, Sunday, August 18, 2024, and this is P.O.C. All right, documenting terrorism via directed light inside of the third-party facilitating venue where terrorism, criminal surveillance, and federal stalking remains underway. License 4709282. This is a black Silverado that's on surveillance cameras. They're group stalking at the Lowe's parking lot in relevant position. Lowe's is closed. They're stalking by driving in perfect alignment through the entryway. They're pacing around, driving in a circle toward the Shell gasoline, where they'll also be on surveillance cameras. Those are demons who are stalking in relevant position across the street. That's the type of concerted and demonic activity that the people of the state engage in. While I'm inside of Courtyard by Marriott, demons are patrolling in. This is one demon crossing path after another. While you have two groups walk in to get to the elevator, they are meeting me as I walk from the microwave area toward the, in case I get on the elevator. In other words, the two African-American males and the one heavy-set Latino male, they're engaged in group conduct stalking. Surveillance camera is where you'll see that, and I'm referencing the surveillance cameras. It's currently 9:44 p.m. This is just giving context regarding what all of the entity is doing surrounding on the 210 freeway, at the Shell Gas, at Lowe's, the PetSmart, the Huntington Center, the parking lot of Courtyard by Marriott, and at the intersection under the bridge, group stalking in all of the parking lots where there are surrounding surveillance cameras. So I just want to document that. I'm going to capture what are license plates of the third parties who are engaged in what is, remember, I'm capturing and publishing onto YouTube. So this is an ongoing threat to my life while the entity continuously engages in sexual violence and harassment. Stalking, getting on the elevator with me is a threat to my life. The entity is engaging in stalking, crossing path while they're walking in and out of the venue. They're doing so while you hear that inside of the hotel room. Those are the same demons that I'm looking at now who are keeping me under surveillance while my genitalia is exposed inside my hotel room. All right, under a fake sun. Those are demons and engineered light. And engineered light, impossible light activities flashing all over the walls while demons are trying to get on the elevator with me. That's a threat to my life, which, again, Courtyard by Marriott is a third party, not a legitimate business, where I'm subject to terrorism via directed light. And then they're standing behind the desk, group stalking with those who are in the venue under the guise of being patrons. And they're all engaged in state surveillance together. So I'm going to document the people of the state. Again, it's 9:45 p.m. 9 EOD 888, 9 NAK 151. License plate 938Y97. Remember, this is relevant to what is criminal obstruction of justice. This is relevant to the inherent enhancement to federal charges and sentencing. The entity, as I'm publishing evidence about the criminal surveillance, federal stalking by the Glendale Police Department, that's published onto the venue of the internet today. All the entity is hostile. A bunch of demons who are conspiring to murder and kidnap me are very angry, okay? I do not stand down because of a threat. I prosecute more intensely when I'm threatened. Okay, 7XTS 587, and that's going to be how federal law works as well. License 9GQR994, license 9MGV960, license molestation by this demon, license plate in a white Range Rover, license 9GQF278. I believe that's a paper plate, so the Q, it could have been a Q or an O. Looked like a Q though. 8MHS675. They're all molesters, sex offenders. FEMBOYS. 7GCG762. License 8C65988, 7EQC215, 8KLL172, group stalking at Monterey and Huntington, where you'll never hear any of this traffic as clearly as you hear my voice. There's no competing, there's no traffic that you're going to hear, no matter how much the demon is revving an engine. These are demons who, in the same way you can't not hear me yelling from here, inside of my fifth room, room that's on the opposite side of this entrance, you are not going to hear these demons that are crossing path. Every license plate I just read are terrorists and they're sex offenders. I'm going to be prosecuted. All right, they're group stalking and touching with engineered light while they're stalking with the soon-to-be disbanded and the removed Alan San Victoris, whose name at the forefront of the criminal conduct that the Monrovia Police Department is engaging in. 9FGL 707, license CWW5564. This is relevant, providing context regarding the stalking that I'm capturing moment by moment, step by step, as I'm moving around in the venue. As I go downstairs, as I get on the elevator, as I walk toward the elevator, you're capturing demons who are cutting in the path. They're maintaining their presence, including stalking by going to the microwave. I guarantee I'm the only person that will be using the microwave in this hotel, but because the target individual is, everyone needs to be using the microwave. Nonetheless, they can bring somebody that uses the microwave every day. to microwave their baby's formula, which, by the way, that baby needs to be separated from that third party. But the entity is engaging in crossing a path by stalking while they're waiting, engaging in surveillance, waiting for me to walk downstairs. That's all the demons are doing, and it shows how pathetic the people of the state are. License plate. This is a demon license plate, 9LQS386. License 9LSG329. Again, terrorism. I'm looking at engineered light flashing on the wall of the elevator while a large white male with a sky blue shirt, and I'm referencing the surveillance cameras, he comes in monitoring me, terrorizing, impossible light activity on the wall, and he gets on the elevator with me. I immediately get off. Okay, and I reference the cameras, and then he gets off. Oh, you want to? Of course I do. Of course I do, Satan. So the entity is engaging what is threatening me by doing that. They're stalking. That's a threat while you're still stalking. And you're not doing anything but stalking while impossible light activity is flashing on the inside of the hotel building. Okay? No demon in the entry of Lowe's parking lot at the same time crossing path as I walk out is engaging in any light activity that's going to be flashing on the inside of Courtyard by Marriott. That's why those employees are all going to federal prison. Okay? License 9LSG329, 9EWZ353, 6WDB495, F896D1, molesting me with engineered light while stalking at Shell Gasoline across the street. They're on surveillance cameras right now. Stalking on the side of the Shell Gasoline at 9:49 p.m. NEN730. That's a demon stalking in the path with light. 8VSF821. You're looking at FedEx do the same thing while they're stalking under the fake sun outside of my hotel room. When they're parked on the side of the street, when Lifeline ambulance is parked on the side of Panda Express under the fake sun, that's what this demon is doing at nightfall. It's engineered light, not the sun and not sunlight. That's what they're doing. That's the nightfall visual of what the demons are doing during the day under the fake sun. 9FKN796, and you're recognizing openly engaging in surveillance. DJ83V68 P.O.C.